Imagine this, a therapeutic treatment for one of the most stubborn and dangerous complications of diabetes, chronic foot ulcers, not based on a synthetic pharmaceutical, but on a bioactive gel made from yogurt. Yes, yogurt. That creamy, tangy, probiotic-rich dairy delight is now being reimagined as a biomedical platform, one with the potential to accelerate healing, fight infection, and even regrow blood vessels in diabetic wounds that otherwise linger like uninvited guests at a party. Diabetic foot ulcers are notorious for their resistance to healing. Reduced circulation, nerve damage, and immune dysfunction in diabetic patients all combine to create a perfect storm of slow tissue regeneration and high infection risk. Many ulcers eventually require amputation, not because the wound is massive, but because it simply won't close. What's needed is a smart, biocompatible, infection-fighting, tissue-regenerating solution that works with the body rather than just throwing antibiotics and gauze at the problem. Enter yogurt-based hydrogels. These gels start with yogurt's most valuable asset, its bioactive components. We're talking about live probiotic strains, lactobacillus, bifidobacterium, antimicrobial peptides, lactic acid, and extracellular vesicles, EVs, secreted during fermentation. When incorporated into a hydrogel matrix, say, using a blend of yogurt proteins, gelatin, and polysaccharides, these components create a moist, protective scaffold that interacts with the wound environment in highly therapeutic ways. First and foremost, angiogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels, is critical for healing diabetic ulcers. Without proper blood flow, no amount of topical treatment will deliver nutrients, oxygen, or immune support. Yogurt-derived EVs and peptides have been shown to stimulate vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF, and other proangiogenic factors, helping reestablish microcirculation around the wound. In lab settings, these bioactive gels promote endothelial cell migration and capillary formation, which is basically like laying down new plumbing for tissue repair. Second, the antimicrobial action. Diabetic ulcers are a bacterial playground. But yogurt's fermentation-derived compounds don't just sit there looking friendly. They actually secrete bacteriocins and organic acids that disrupt biofilms, inhibit gram-positive and gram-negative pathogens, and reduce the risk of antibiotic-resistant infections. In fact, when yogurt-based hydrogels are applied to wounds colonized with Staphylococcus aureus or Pseudomonas aeruginosa, they suppress microbial growth comparably to conventional antiseptics without harming healthy tissue. And then there's the moisture retention and skin barrier support. Chronic wounds need a moist, oxygenated environment to heal, something yogurt-based hydrogels naturally provide. Thanks to yogurt's protein and polysaccharide structure, the gel forms a breathable, flexible layer that keeps the wound hydrated while absorbing excess exudate. It's not just slapping a wet sponge on the skin. It's an intelligent, responsive interface. On the immune side, the immunomodulatory effects are just as compelling. Diabetic wounds often suffer from a dysfunctional immune response, too much inflammation early on, followed by an exhausted immune state. Yogurt-derived EVs contain microRNAs and signaling molecules that can downregulate inflammatory cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-A, while promoting anti-inflammatory factors like IL-10 and TGF-SS. This helps the wound shift from the inflammatory phase into the regenerative phase faster, something most diabetic wounds struggle with. What's especially promising is the edibility and safety profile. Yogurt is a GRA, generally recognized as safe, substance, making its derivatives ideal for applications where safety is critical. No synthetic polymers, no harsh chemicals, just food-grade biomaterials performing like high-end biotech. This is particularly valuable in low-resource or field settings, where access to advanced wound dressings is limited, but dairy fermentation is widely available. Researchers are now exploring ways to load these hydrogels with complementary therapies, like growth factors, insulin, or stem cell exosomes, to further boost tissue regeneration. Others are integrating smart sensors into the gels to monitor pH and infection markers in real time, turning yogurt from humble snack to bioengineered smart patch. Still, challenges remain. Ensuring consistency in bioactivity, optimizing shelf stability, and scaling production without losing the biological potency are key hurdles. There's also the question of regulatory classification. Do we treat it like a food, a medical device, or a hybrid biologic? Regardless, the future is clear. Yogurt is no longer just a food. It's a functional bioplatform. One that may soon be helping diabetic patients keep their limbs, heal their wounds, and bypass painful, costly surgical interventions. Because sometimes, the best medicine really does come in a spoonful of something that's alive, cultured, and unexpectedly brilliant.